Brought me a chart. She said, you know, can you tell me a little bit about this lady? And so let me show you what I saw, and let's just kind of do it together. And I'm going to let you realize how much you can read a chart already. When you start doing this, you'll start understanding it. If I can find a marker that works here. None of these seem to be any good. Okay, let's try it. Ah, that one works. Okay. So this lady has in her first house, she has the moon conjunct Saturn, and this is, we don't even need the degrees right now, it's in Scorpio. Okay, I want you to just do a little favor for me. I want you to kind of interpret this yourself. Give me some ideas what you think that, just that alone means, just that alone. Oh, that's actually good. Yes, that's true. And but what does it tell you about the person, do you think?
Depressive, maybe.
Can be depressed, right? And it's in Scorpio.
Oh, it's in Scorpio.
Strong what?
Emotionally.
Fixed, opinionated sometimes. Why? Fixed signs or what? What are fixed signs? Give me some fixed signs. What are they? Leo, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio. And Scorpio is, if it doesn't get its way, it can be what? Vengeful, revengeful, yeah. Scorpios don't let go easy of, you know, if they feel they've been hurt, they can be. Now, they're also Scorpio is secretive. Now, how would you think Saturn and the moon and it's in her first house, so that's obviously her persona, her basic, okay? Good for you. Why? See? Elizabeth, I don't need to read it. You see this? Why is controlling?
Because Scorpio is a sign that reflects the energy of Pluto. Pluto
Oh, good. You're getting it real
is
quick.
the strength.
How does she control them?
How?
Yeah. If Saturn is, anytime you look at Saturn, that's where you find control, right? Okay. Now, it's in the first house, so it says I am. Saturn means what? It can be very selfish. It can be. If it's afflicted. We haven't even looked at the aspects yet. All we're doing is picking one thing apart at a time. What we're seeing in this is actually controlling through Scorpio. Through what? Through emotions, good, but what else? You're missing the main thing Scorpio's about. Good. How long it took us to get there. The subject we don't talk about, right? So let me say this. She has a great ability. We're not going to talk about who it is. Don't do that. You know who it is. Oh. Okay. This is too much fun. So the point is that if the reason I know that about it, I didn't give you the aspects yet. Yeah, you know, because I knew it because there was some real strong aspects here, and it gives a negative meaning to this in a way, and that's because the sun. First of all, let me get these aspects because it's not my chart. I have to look at what she's got here. The sun's down here. Okay, Scorpio, Sag, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius. So the sun's down here at 5 degrees of Aquarius, and it's squaring her moon because her moon is at, let me find that in here. Moon's at 18 degrees Scorpio. Okay, and Saturn is right there with it at 15 degrees Scorpio. Okay, now, what we have here, remember the white orb of the sun. The sun squaring moon is 12 degrees. This is right on the edge of that. But because it's so angular, you know it's squaring. These are little things you'll pick up as you start reading charts. It gives more power because of its angle. So these are both squaring this. This is only 10 degrees from square to the sun, Saturn. Okay? 10 degrees out of orb, which is definitely, the sun can have a 15-degree orb. 12 degrees for sure. Okay, so what we have then is this is the square between what? What does the sun mean? Tell me what the sun means. Spirit, good. What else? Huh? Vitality, good. Okay. What's the key word of Leo? Good for you. I will. So what does the sun rule? Your will. What happens when the will is opposed? Huh? Saturn and the moon are squaring that. Do you know what that means? She keeps it all within. If she doesn't get her way, she keeps it all within. Because this is not Mars. It's going to get, although there is, we didn't get to that one yet. The Mars in this chart is exactly right here. Let me show you. So it's not completely said there. Mars is said it's 7 degrees Scorpio, and it's exact square to the sun. Okay, so we have both malefics, Saturn and Mars, and then we have the moon squaring the sun. One thing I know about the person, because Saturn is so strong in this chart, Mars on the ascendant, she's very good at business. She's very bright. She's very sharp. Okay, why would you say, what's that? Sharp, Mars. Okay, Saturn, calculating. People that have strong Saturns rising, for example, and strong charts with Saturn are calculating. Does that mean calculating negatively? No. It may mean they're great mathematicians. They're great at math. They're great at doing figures. Okay, Saturn gives that talent. What is Father Time about? Measuring off of all things, right? So wouldn't Saturn be involved with that? Of course. And it's with her moon, which is her soul, has an affinity for those things. Okay, I'm being hard on her, right? I'm being hard on her? I shouldn't be, but I'm just trying to say that to me, Mars-Saturn square the sun with the moon shows deep emotional problems. Who said paranoid problems? Obviously. Moon-Saturn squaring Mars and Mars joined. And by the way, when you see two planets like this, two malefics, Saturn and Mars, with the moon between them, it says the moon is besieged. Can't escape. Yeah, it's called besieged. It means that these planets can hurt the moon very much. They've got it squeezed between it. They can't do it. There's no escaping it. There's great amount of conflict in the soul of this person. This person has a great amount of inner conflict. Remember I said as above, so below, so below. Yeah. So then, here's where you start interpreting. Here's where you start looking at a chart and start to understand somebody. It makes you prophetic in the sense that you say, well, if I know that there's this much war going on in that person's soul, and this is Saturn here, this is anger, this is resentment, this is living in the past. Saturn is, get behind me, Satan. Remember Christ said to Satan, get behind me. It's the past. Okay? You remember what live spelled backwards is? What devil spelled backwards is? Lived. The past. Past tense. So Saturn and Mars are both besieging the moon. And then it's squaring her sun. This is a woman that will not have her wealth thwarted without a lot of conflict. Okay? You don't want to step between her and what her drive and her ambition is. Her ambition is Saturn and Mars is her drives. You don't want to get in the way between that. She'll destroy you. You understand that? You don't want to make an enemy out of her.
No.
Okay? Do you understand this?
No, I'm like big with her.
You already feel that. You feel it?
No, I'm good with her.
Good for you. Good.
Very
Good. Good. You don't want to.
Actually, it was me that attracted her for him. Oh my God, I don't know why.
Okay, we shouldn't get too personal here, but okay, you're going to find out why. So this is a lot of affliction. That's all.
You were the matchmaker.
Anyway, so but these were just simple. You're starting to start interpreting right now. You're doing it in the room. You're doing it right here in the room. Okay, so if you saw somebody on Mars besieged, the moon besieged by Mars and Saturn, my God, you got two afflictions there. You got two planets right there in a conjunction, and then it's squaring the sun to bid. The sun is the will, and another thing, her sun is in what sign?
Aquarius.
Good, good. What is Aquarius' key word? It's good. Yeah, that I know, but it's also, listen, Aquarius is freedom and rebellion. So what happens if this is thwarted? Her will, she's going to break. See what I mean? She's not going to stay. Even though it's fixed signs. Fixed signs will stay, but they'll make life hell for you. So, why? Because of fixity here. But she has her own need for freedom. Very strong need. She probably has her own need for her own work and career. She won't want, am I right? So that's because Aquarius says, I want to be on my own, I want to be free. I don't want somebody holding me down. You see? So you got a lot here though, but there's some dynamics here that are real stressful. Okay? So in the next class we're going to be talking about compatibility. Okay? Who would not get along with this person very well? Anybody got that one figured out yet? You remember the cross. You got a cross right here, right? Okay. Who would not want to be sitting on that cross? Somebody over here, which would be somebody maybe a Taurus. Oh, whoa. And maybe somebody up here, Leo, or on one of these points. In other words, this point here, though, it sets off a T, it makes a T cross. Up here, we got the same thing, a T cross. See it? Either way you go. Now, it doesn't mean if your sun is there, it's going to be necessarily. What is the sun? You got to remember what we're talking about. We're talking if your sun is sitting there, that means your will is going to be at war with hers, because it's squaring her sun. And it's opposing her what? Her ambition, Saturn. Career, Saturn, power, control. And you guys were great. First thing you said almost was control. Saturn loves the control, wants to be in charge. And it definitely will not. This can be a very unforgiving chart. Why? Mars Saturn square, anger Mars. Mars Saturn conjunction square the Sun. It's not square. The point is that we got these planets that are the angry planet, the living in the past planet that I didn't forgive you then, and I'm not forgiving you now. That's Saturn talking, which is interpreted in a relationship this way: you always and you never. What does you always and you never say? Thanks, honey. Oh, good. Thank you. You always and you never says, I don't forgive you now, and I didn't forgive you then. You always and you never. You always do this. You always do. It's what destroys relationships, right? So the point is that anybody gets in the dynamics of this woman. She is a charging, controlling, powerful woman, and she'll tend to control through sex with a man because that's Scorpio. Okay? I'm glad I can be generalizing. I don't know the lady, but I think you get a feeling of reading a chart. Isn't it fun? And can you believe you're doing it in just 3 weeks? We've been doing this. You're already starting to see it. You're starting to interpret. You're starting to understand it. Okay? What first? Say that, honey. Talk to me. Or her sun sign is Aquarius. Yeah, she's born with a sun in Aquarius. Yeah, and she's born near midnight because it's where? Down here, right? If it's noon, it'd be up here, right? So I didn't do this chart, but Elizabeth brought it to me, and she did it on the computer. But the thing is that, it's a terrible chart, by the way. I recommend you get the programs. I recommend one is called Time Passages. Highly recommend them.
What is the name of the software you recommend?
Time Passages. Yeah, and he has them on sale all the time. When you call, if you call in and order, you do it online. Make sure, just say, look at it. You got a sale price. Can't you give it to me? I know the guy personally. I worked with him years ago, but he's a good man. Okay, so actually, just tell him you're a student of Ron Watson, and he might give you a discount. He used to do that for me. So anyway, all right, so what I want you to do is start seeing not only these charts, but start thinking about in terms of relationships. And that's where we're going to go eventually. We're going to go, and so we can bring a chart in. You can bring a chart to me, and I'll say, let's look and see. if this is a good relationship or not. And remember what I said earlier? I'm very smart about it. I'm not going to cause alienation of affection. Huh? But I'll let you know the best I can. Because do you realize if I had this person's name and I talked about her in public and I'm being recorded, and this person saw me talking about her in this negative fashion, do you think she'd be happy? No. Wouldn't you though? Wouldn't you? Yeah. So I don't know who this person is, and I have no desire to know. But the point I'm getting at is I want you to start to learn, interpret charts, and that's what we're all about here. So, you know, by the way, Elizabeth, you know, one thing about your chart's quite extraordinary. I want to share this with her. She's pretty quiet back there, isn't she? Huh? But let me tell you something about her. This is an amazing chart. This is her chart. And this is dried up too. Let's try the other one she gave me. This is why this chart's spectacular. She has in her 10th house Jupiter joined with Uranus. And these are at 26 and 28, almost identical degrees. They're right on top of each other. And guess what sign they're in? Cancer. Okay. And anybody that's got Jupiter conjunct Uranus has two things. There's wisdom and there's intuition. When she has an intuition about somebody or she has a feeling about, because Jupiter is very much foresight and vision. So she's very prophetic, is what I'm saying. She belongs in the New Age. That's what Uranus is all about. It's the 10th house. Her work and her career could involve working in prophetic work and very high intuition, because Uranus gives that. She could do a lot without a chart, quite frankly. But she's very kind of reticent and lays back. But if you really got to know her, powerful woman, Jupiter and Uranus in the midheaven in Cancer. First of all, Jupiter in Cancer is its own powerful sign. It's exalted in Cancer. Powerful. Why? Because what is Jupiter? Look at what Jupiter is. It's the crescent over the cross. Okay, so the crescent is the moon. What's the Cancer rule? Okay, so you put Jupiter in Cancer, 19 degrees exactly is its highest point. Oh, you believe that? Yeah, exactly. You know, and she's a blessing, you know, to the family. This is a real powerful chart. She has Saturn at 17 degrees Virgo, and Scorpio rather, and Venus at 17 degrees Scorpio. Going back to the chart we just did, guess what all that does? Sets right on top of that other person's Moon, Mars, and Saturn. Your Venus, and it's interesting because your Saturn's on her Saturn, okay? It's right there sitting with it. But your Venus is there as well with Saturn, and your Venus with Saturn, they're both at 17 degrees Scorpio when she's born, in her first house. And where's the other person's stuff? All in the first house? So there's something here that's interesting, because what did she say? She said, I basically have become friends with her. Did you say that? Something to that effect? What does Venus do? It becomes united with another. It's loving, right? So you brought that love of Venus, which sits right on those three planets, you've brought it right over to it. But you have Saturn there too, which means you're very circumspect and you're very careful. And you're very cautious. Saturn is all those things. You see it? So you're kind of sitting with two energies with her. One is, I'll be affectionate, Venus. I'll join in love with her, if you would. But Saturn's sitting back and saying, I'm watching you, girl. Am I got your number? So that's what Saturn does. Saturn sits back. But you have Venus with Saturn, which means you tend to temper your judgments in your life with love. You have a wonderful chart. You really do. Venus with Saturn, it's like it takes the, how would you say it? It takes the the rancor, the pain out of Saturn a little bit. It takes the judgmentalness out. You tend to see the other side very well. You're very good at that because Venus always wants to see the other person's view. It's Libra's sign, right? Libra, 7th house. It wants to know what the other person's thinking, how they're acting, why they're acting, trying to find a reason for it. So try to balance all this out. That's what you're about. Beautiful chart. You have a wonderful chart. One of the best charts I've seen, really. It's really nice. So everybody in the room is going to say, Ron, you better say that about my chart. so, so we'll have fun with it. So anyway, so you notice you're starting to see astrologically. You're thinking astrologically. You're beginning to understand the meanings of these planets and these signs. So when you see something going on and you're going to look at a chart, I'll help you. That's what we're here. We're going to have fun with this. And hopefully, I hope you all stay with me for another 5 weeks. We'll have a lot of fun. But if you do, we're going to spend a lot of time trying to take these charts apart. And not only that, then we're going to put them all back together. I do it a little bit on the side every time you come up to me. I try to talk with you a little bit about your chart. The one thing I don't have in my hands right now with any of you, I did Messman's chart. I did do progressions, and I did transit Saturn. And this is what I use to predict transit Saturn, progressed moon, and new moons. If I can teach you how to use those, you'll become a prophet. You will, I promise you. And when you see one or two of those things all adding up together, and they're all doing the same thing and giving you the same story, you know it's accurate. If you got two, you're going to wonder. You're not. It could be. It's a very strong indication this is going to happen. If you got one, maybe not. That's why in astrology, if you've been around astrologers over the years, you'll hear them saying things like, oh my God, I got Saturn going over my ascendant. I got Saturn doing this. I got Saturn. And nothing happens, except they walked in fear for all that time. And they don't know why. And I it's like Saturn, I didn't even use transit Saturn for years. I didn't believe in it because of these kind of things. Then by accident, when I was in Massachusetts teaching, I accidentally came upon it that why it wasn't working and why it wasn't so the devil and, the boogeyman in the chart. It was because there had to be two other things involved. And that was scriptural. It said, except there be 2 or 3 witnesses, it is not established in law. What does the law mean? Saturn is the law. Saturn is the law. Remember I said earlier, the spirit giveth life, but the letter killeth. The letter is the law. People that live by the law are never going to have any salvation. They're never going to have it. Freedom is by grace. It's not by works. It's not by works that you're saved. It's by what? It's by, you're not worthy of it. It says you're not. It's by grace, unmerited favor. So when you get to that point, then you're free. But if you're still trying to think, if you go to church on Sunday and eat fish on Friday, I'm a good Catholic, I'm going to go to heaven. That's the letter. That's not going to work. You're fooling yourself. But it's okay, do it, because that's where your head's at and that's where you belong. And if you believe it, do it. As a man believeth in his heart, so he is. Okay, so I tell you, people believe something, live it. Don't just talk it, believe it. If you believe it, live it. If you believe you shouldn't eat pork, don't eat pork. It'll make you sick. Because if you believe it, it's going to make you sick. If you think it's bad for you. All make sense to you? Huh? So what we want to do is we want to get free. One of the reasons why I spend so much time with trying to get you to be the masters of your charts instead of becoming a victim, because I believe we are the master. We get free, we can break free of this. The law. You be free, come up, it says you're here to be free of the curse of what? The law. It calls the law a curse. The scripture even says that. It's a curse. And Saturn is the law. Saturn says you'll do this or, I'm going to get you, If you don't do this, you won't get any good gifts on Christmas. That's Santa Claus. Satan, Saturn, okay? So if you're good, I'll bring you gifts. But none of that can happen unless none of Saturn's energies are going to be destructive or injurious to you or scary as, you read your chart. In your chart, and you see transit Saturn. Right now it's been back and forth, going forward and back. over the same degrees, and people that have those degrees in their chart are saying, oh no, not again. Saturn's doing this again. But if you don't have the progressed moon, which is, the progressed moon is a year equals a day in the eyes of the Lord. Scripture says 1 year equals 1 day a year, how's it go? A day equals a year in the eyes of the Lord. What does that mean? It means that every day that you're born, from the day you're born, I'm born November 28th, 2 years old, my progressed moon and all my planets move 2 days at 2 years. And I would do a chart for that moment. Only thing I take out of that progressed chart is the progressed moon. Okay? Most of your interpretations will give you progressed everything. I don't do it. Because I learned what works. So if you're 15 years old, you're going to go 15 days from the day of your birth, and it's going to, you don't have to do that. Back in the days when I learned astrology, I had to do it all calculated. Had to use logarithms, had to know how to calculate a chart, I had to figure out the time zone you were in, the Greenwich Mean Time, and I had to find the local mean time. I had to calculate the time, how many degrees off the exact time zone were you, so I had exact time. I had to do all that. I had to have all that figured out. I had to use logarithmic tables to figure out a chart. That's how I started doing astrology. And now you just punch it all in a computer and it comes out all printed out for you. What a blessing, huh?
Now, what is the third meaning? You have a transit Saturn, progress moon, and then
And new moons. And the new moons are every month. Scripture says, let no man judge you neither meat nor drink or the Sabbaths or the new moons, which are a shadow of things to come. They're very predictive. They're very powerful. So once you understand how to use those three, and I have a whole course that teaches that, and I developed that, and I've only taught it to one class in all the years. I've only taught it to one class in Boston. And we couldn't believe, even the students couldn't believe how accurate it was. Because, you know, we took major events. I mean, really, one mother that was there, do you remember her daughter or something? Do you remember, Elena? She had, her daughter was abused or something by the father or something, and we went back and we actually did the charts of the child, and you could see it so clearly. Anyway, but, you know, we start doing it with the charts, you'll see it, how accurate it is. And I've got a lot of charts, and I've taken things and charts that are of events that are undeniable. Assassination of Robert Kennedy, or of John F. Kennedy, or a pilot that's killed in the war at a certain time and place. I've got all these, and Anna Nicole Smith, the moment she died. You know, we know all that, right? So it's easy to take those charts and to show you how accurate these are. These predictors are there. And it's easy to look at them and see them. You can't, how can you have chart after chart after chart show it the same thing over and over again, all three things lining up perfectly to conspire to create this event? It's no odds. I mean, you can't, the odds against it are unbelievable. And you know, when I started doing this, before I developed the course, and I put it all together, I used to pick charts just out of the random, because I'd say, well, it surely can't always work. But it always worked. And I kept finding other charts, and I'd say, I'm gonna apply it to this one. Can't be it'll work every time. It always works. And I've got those charts, and in class you're going to see them and how they work. Anyway, let's move on. Any questions, by the way? My wife says you should ask questions more. Yes.